vlog every damn day. Hello Jeremy fans and welcome to another episode of Once Upon a Thursday. This week I'm going to be reviewing the episode The Price of Gold. This episode focuses on the Cinderella story, which has a slight twist, and the hook of this whole episode is that all magic comes with a price. We are introduced to the Cinderella story. Right as Fairy Godmother's showing up, Rumplestilskin kills her somehow. She disappears into a pillar of smoke and then drops her magic wand, which Rumplestilskin takes and offers Cinderella a deal that if she is able to bear the magic and the spell that he will grant to her to make all of her dreams come true so that she can leave her stepmother and stepsisters, that she will have to give him something precious. And she says that she'll give him anything. Big mistake. You never offer anything. You always offer something specific to someone that's trying to make a deal with you. Don't offer anything, because then you're going to end up getting trapped into something stupid, which is exactly what happened to Cinderella here. In this episode, we kind of flash forward to the end of Cinderella's timeline, where her and Prince Charming, whose real name is Thomas, are actually getting married. They're having a ball. Cinderella and him are dancing around, and Snow White and the prince show up, and then Rumplestilskin shows up out of nowhere to tell Cinderella that his end of the deal requires that she give up her firstborn child. The story continues on that Prince James has a cell that he's planning on putting Rumplestilskin in, and they have a magic quill that will neutralize magic of others. So he wants Cinderella to go to Rumplestilskin and tell Rumplestilskin that she's having twins, in fact, and that they want to alter the deal. So she makes him sign on a piece of paper, all Ursula style, that he will alter the deal, that he will give prosperity to the kingdom and comfort as long as he can have both kids. Well, he signs and loses his magical ability. They take off Rumplestilskin, and Prince Thomas goes walking away to get water for Cinderella because she starts feeling something weird going on with the baby. And as he's there getting water, something comes out of the bushes, but we don't see what it is, and he disappears. Rumplestilskin informs Cinderella that as long as her debt is unpaid to him, she will never see her prince again. Now, in the real world, we are introduced to Ashley. Now, in all versions of the Cinderella story, Cinderella's name originates from a word called literally ash slut. So it was very fitting that her name was Ashley, and I thought that was a very nice little play on words once upon a time. Very well done. And she is due to have a baby, but her baby daddy is run off and isn't a part of her life anymore, and it turns out that it's actually because his dad doesn't want him to throw his life away. So Emma and Ashley have this kind of very short but very deep conversation that Ashley is ready to keep her baby, that she doesn't have to actually give away her baby like she would like to, and that she has to make her own future. So Ashley kind of convinces herself that she needs to control her own life. So Ashley robbed Mr. Gold, who asked Emma the next day to track down Ashley so that she could bring back something that Ashley took from Mr. Gold. Now, we later find out in the episode that Mr. Gold is after the exact same thing, that he signed a contract with Ashley's baby daddy's dad, that he, Mr. Gold, will take Ashley's baby as soon as it's born and give it to a good home. So basically, we're having the same tie-in from the storybook into the real world. And Mr. Gold, I think, is aware of his being a fairy tale character. I think that he knows somehow that he is, and I think he's just loony enough that maybe the curse overlooked him, or maybe he's just so smart, kind of like that one character that was in Silence in the Library, for those of you Whovians out there, the character that got sucked into the computer who was actually really dumb in real life, but because she was already dead and the computer uploaded her into it, it gave her vast intelligence, therefore she was able to see past everything that was going on and knew that it was actually a computer, not real life. So I think that maybe that happened to Rumplestilskin, that he's just so intelligent even though he acts nuts, that he knows what's going on, and that's why he owns the entire town, because he's so smart and he knows how to kind of manipulate everybody based off of what happened in their real world. So Ashley eventually decides that she wants to keep the baby and that she doesn't want to keep the deal with Mr. Gold. So Emma convinces Mr. Gold that Ashley should keep her baby in. She makes a deal with Mr. Gold instead, but we don't know what that deal is going to be because Mr. Gold's going to stew on it and think about what he wants. But for right now, Emma owes him a favor. Speaking of favors, we also found out that Regina is knocking these boots with the sex god sheriff, who, by the way, has asked Emma to stick around in the town and get a job as a deputy. Now, I can't tell if this is his own idea or if this is Regina kind of giving him the idea to do it so that she can control Emma a bit more. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that'll play out later. And none of you guys spoil it for me, because you guys do that. The very first thing that I was thinking of was that it really surprised me how Cinderella was so hasty to make a deal with Rumplestilskin, even knowing that he wasn't a good guy, and even after he had killed her fairy godmother in front of her eyes, that she was willing to just give up anything for this homicidal lunatic. Like, that blew my mind. It blew my mind that Regina is knocking boots with the sheriff, because I've never gotten the impression that she would ever go after someone like that, unless in fairy tale world the huntsman was actually supposed to marry Regina, and somehow Snow White screwed that up, which in my head would make sense, because maybe the huntsman took sympathy on Snow White and set her free instead of doing what he was supposed to do, and Regina was upset by that, so instead of being rational, she killed him and then blamed Snow White for it. So that is like stretching out in the air, and I'm sure that I'll find out later on, but that's what I'm thinking. And so maybe she's just with the sheriff now because, like, she wants to be with it, or maybe she's just lonely. She's probably just really horny. Emma is really deepening into someone else. We're learning a little bit more about her past, which is cool. We're finding out that she's a little bit more of a transient than an actual person that, like, stays settled somewhere for a long period of time. It seems like she is very unsure about her own life. So maybe that's why she clung so hard to Henry in the very first episode and all of a sudden just drastically switched her character, like my first impression of her was, because she literally had no stability in her life until she met Henry. So maybe Henry and this whole fairy tale Storybrooke world is her only way to attach to reality, because she knows deep down that she's not actually part of this world, that she is a part of somebody else. Kind of like Ariel, which I'm waiting to see her, because this episode reminded me so much of The Little Mermaid, with Rumplestilskin acting like Ursula and all that. Like, this episode totally reminded me of The Little Mermaid. This to me seemed a little bit more like a pad episode, where it wasn't really for a development of any of the characters. It was more just to, like, flesh out a few of the main characters. I think this episode was used as a means to flesh out Emma and Henry rather than providing an actual story that's going on. And I think they're also trying to develop the characters that are going to be present later on, and kind of fleshing out this whole idea that every storybook character lives here. So including Cinderella into it kind of adds another depth to this fairy tale land. But I think other than that, it was just more of a purpose of, hey, let's throw in Cinderella's story because Cinderella's pretty cool and she's a fairy tale and we haven't shown her yet, so let's do it. And we're kind of bored with the Snow White prince thing, and there's only so much you can do with that, so let's throw in a new character. And I feel like that will probably happen a lot, is that there will be an episode that really focuses on what's going on with Regina and Snow and Emma and Henry, all as this force that's acting through this whole show, and then every once in a while to break that up so that they can keep these episodes going and they can keep the show running for a long period of time. They're going to throw in filler episodes, and I think that's what this one was. Even though it was good, I definitely think it was a filler episode to add a little more weaving into this. It's kind of like if you put sprinkles on top of a cake. You already have the icing if you chose to put it on there. The sprinkles really just made it look pretty, and I think that's what this episode was. It was more just sprinkles on top of a cake rather than like a layer of icing in the middle or another flavor inside the cake, or like candles or something. Like, this was just sprinkles on top of the cake. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with the next episode review, and I'll see you guys tomorrow and every other day this week. Peace out. Take a mouse. Cool.